So hello and welcome as I am getting ready to lay down in bed with you as well. And yes, I am actually in my bedroom in the dark with the phone on my chest, laying in bed. This is just a little experimental, I guess, podcast, you can call it. Just something to listen to while you try to get some rest. As I am going to try. Could hear me yawn. As you can tell, I'm tired. To try and keep this pure in that sense, I want you to hear those sounds of me being tired. Maybe it'll make you tired as well. Because I want you to have kind of a sense that I guess my intention is kind of like back when I was younger, when I used to have friends that stay the night, and you would just, lay in bed, waiting, getting close to falling asleep, but you have that nice long conversation with your friend for maybe about 30 minutes, an hour, who knows, just talking and, excuse me, just shooting shit and just talking about things, like whether it be, about your favorite crush or school or video games, movies, whatever. And I kind of want to help give that sense of kind of like that. Obviously, you cannot respond to me and I cannot respond to you. But, I'm happy to be a presence to kind of help ease you and get to sleep, and maybe myself as well. So, a lot of it is just also because, a lot of the similar ideas out there are really not my thing. I know there's, other podcasters or YouTubers or what have you, that do similar concepts around sleep and, just talking. They do a very good job. Some tell stories, others tell history and whatnot. Often I find them to be very too engaging, especially when it comes to history. Because it's oh shit, word, I kind of I want to hear more about this. It's not really boring to me. So I don't know. Some of it is a little too engaging for me, and I feel like these types of things are also going to come down to what voice works for you. And I'm not saying anybody has a bad voice or anything like that. It's just, some people prefer a softer bed, some people prefer a firmer bed type of deal. So everybody has their preferences. So I'm not going to have any real particular topics with any of these, because again, in those moments of when you're younger, you didn't really come with an itinerary when you're laying in bed with your bud. Whether you're sharing that bed or, they're laying on the floor, whatever, no judgment. There's nothing weird about sharing the bed with your friends. But yeah, it's just going to be pretty much off the cuff, kind of like it is right now. And I'm just kind of laying here in the dark. You can hear some white noise in the background. We can feel that out and see if that is too annoying, or if it's too much, what have you. I think it's just good to have that noise to kind of help drown out things. And if there is any points where I have moments where it's just silent, like that, then it will help fill that dead air, keeping your mind focused on something beyond your thoughts. As thinking too much often keeps me up, So I just kind of want to give you that sense again of you're laying in your bed and you're just listening to your friend. You're just kind of listening to your friend ramble on about something. Um, and in this case, I guess, my mind often, you know, it thinks about all sorts of things when you're going to bed. It's just weird. I don't know if it's because your mind is not focused on anything besides just trying to focus on relaxing and going to sleep. Your brain is now no longer engaging in what you're doing, whether it be walking around and cleaning and going to a destination and figuring out what's going to be the next step of your day or your plans or even what you're doing, the next thing you're going to clean. When you're in bed, you're just laying there, and now your brain's like, oh wow, now I have all this free time, all this moment to just do whatever I want, think about whatever I want. I let's start thinking about, I don't know, the D&D campaign that you've been putting off and you need to write, or let's think about death. Let's think about kittens, whatever. And your mind really tries to run with it. Often meditation is very helpful for that. Meditation takes a lot of practice. It's like exercising. That is something I very much recommend always. And in fact, if you can, even before listening to this, I would recommend doing a small meditation or breathing exercise. In fact, I'm probably going to recommend a breathing exercise here, which is called the 4-7-8 method. So what that is it's a method where you breathe in for 4 seconds, you hold it for 7, and then you exhale for 8. And then you do that for 4 times in total. 4 sets of it, in other words. Apparently, this is a method that, soldiers in the military tend to use to help them relax and fall asleep quickly. Again, like anything, it takes a lot of practice, and it's something that you have to keep up with and do consistently. So, I would recommend doing it every night before bed as you try to wind down. So, yeah, it does help me, especially if you're like anxious. I'm very an anxious person. Um, I've had plenty of panic attacks in the past. I gotta stop saying man. That's something I gotta work on. This is gonna be a goal for this part of my journey of doing this podcast. If this becomes a thing for myself and keeping up with it, is to stop saying. Anyways, what was I just talking about? I was just talking about like meditation, breathing, anxiety. That's right. See, we just got to go through the things to get back to where we were. Yeah, I mean, it definitely helps out a lot in that respect. And so does medicine. I highly recommend taking medicine and seeing a doctor about those sorts of things. It can be a rough journey trying to find the medication that works for you, but I do recommend it. But it's not for everybody, but it's always good to try. So, I lay here, and sometimes I wish I just went to bed earlier. Like, I just want to stay up. Like, my true heart's desire is to just sit there and play more video games, or watch another episode of that show, or whatever that I'm doing in that present moment, But there is also something really nice about taking that time of just going to bed earlier and not necessarily going to sleep right away or even getting out your phone. Excuse me. Because when you go on your phone, you are focused on, doom scrolling Twitter, TikTok, Reddit, YouTube Shorts, whatever, you know? Whereas there's something very nice about just being in a dark room that your eyes have now adjusted to. And you can see like the various different levels of light of the room that you're in. And just lay there. Just look around and stare at everything. Relax. And just try not to think about much, Be in the moment. I think it's important to do that. Let your mind rest in that sense, not in just when you're sleeping. I guess that's a concept that goes back to meditation, because meditation is ultimately a tool to help you be in the moment so that your brain is not worried about the past or future, but is present, thinking about the present moment. I haven't, now realizing, properly introduced myself here. So, I go by Billy. I am a 35-year-old man. I enjoy many things of various degrees. I like video games, obviously, role-playing games. And when I say role-playing games, I mean like tabletop role-playing games. I mean, I do like role-playing games in a video game sense. But I also mean like, I do like tabletop role-playing games, Pathfinder, Dungeons and Dragons. I also enjoy card games like Magic the Gathering. And I have played a lot of the others like Pokemon. And I know One Piece is very popular. I've tried playing it. I'm not a One Piece fan. Not going to go in there. I am not going to rile up One Piece fans or anything of that sort. Not that I think it's a bad series, but I will just say that it is very, 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 very long. And if I'm going to go on a maiden voyage, or Mr. Bones Wild Ride, if you will, I'm going to just go watch a whole lot of other anime in the time that it would take me to watch One Piece. Again, no disrespect to the series. It does look cool. And I think Luffy's Gear 5 ability, whatever the hell that is, his form, is really cool. I like the idea of a shonen anime protagonist being like a fucking Looney Tunes character. That's pretty neat. But other than that, too long. Too much effort. Sorry. Anyways. So yeah, I like anime too. And I really like reptiles. I own several reptiles, including a bearded dragon, a ball python, 2 leopard geckos, 2 gargoyle geckos, and 2 amphibians are just 2 Pac-Man frogs. And of course, I am a big Godzilla fan. Being a fan of reptiles, and all my reptiles, except for one. Well, technically the frog. The frogs aren't technically reptiles. But they all follow my naming them after Godzilla monsters. So we have Manda, Kamada-kun, which is Shin Godzilla's second form. Goji, Gojira, Shobi and Jin, the Shobi Jin, and Manda is the snake-like kaiju in Godzilla. Who am I missing? The one Pac-Man frog is named Hedorah. And who am I missing? No, I got everybody. Just double checking in my brain. I also have two cats. Um, One is Mr. Binks. My mother named him after Binks from Hocus Pocus. Although he is not a black cat, he is I am almost certain, a Bengal, but a certain friend of mine would argue that he is not. But I'm pretty sure he's a Bengal. I could be wrong. The other is a tuxedo cat that goes by the name of Dibs. And that's dibs as in, like, I called dibs on that. Which I called dibs on him when I got him. So that's how he got his name, is I called dibs on him, so his name is Dibs. I'm going to get some water here for a moment, so you're going to hear me shifting around. Again, I just kind of want to get these types of sounds that I feel like in a production people would filter out. But I kind of want to keep them. You know, the sounds of me moving on the bed and things like that. Whatever. Just to kind of give it more of that sense of, like, I'm there with you. You know what I'm saying? Because you're going to be laying there with your eyes closed. You know, you're not going to be looking at anything. Or at least I hope that's what you're doing. Or at least that's what I would recommend. Because being on your phone and looking at things on it, it's not good for your sleep. It's going to make it more difficult to sleep. And I want to help you do that. I want to help you sleep. Because, you know, I know how much that sucks. And I always am looking for new things myself to listen to when I sleep. Most often it's this, which is just a noisemaker that plays rain sounds. Rain sounds are what works the best for me. I also really enjoy the sounds of a tent, like rain on a tent, even though I've never been camping, which might be strange to some. Excuse me. Yeah, that might be very odd. Also, in feel free to give me any feedback on this if anybody does end up listening to this, because I do want to improve. So, you know, please let me know what you think. You know, hey, that cough was weird or whatever. Just let me know. It's allergy season or something. Something's going on with my throat. I don't know. I really am not sure. It's hard to say. But I don't even remember what I was just talking about. See, that's the thing. I feel like I have ADHD. I could be wrong, though. I mean, I'm no medical expert. I just forget things very easily, it feels like. But, we were just talking about falling asleep, I guess. Yeah, so, anyways. It's just important not to be on your phone in that sense, but I just, want to be there for you. Just hang out with you and feel like that I'm hanging out with somebody when I'm laying in bed and going to sleep. Because these days it just feels like, I don't know, feels like things can get a lot more lonely, even though we're more connected as a society than we've ever been at any point in human history. Like, you can very easily now be friends with someone on the other side of the world. You could be friends with someone in Japan, Russia, Brazil, wherever, very easily. And yet, we still feel very lonely. Like in my case, I still feel that. I live in an area that is very remote. Well, I wouldn't say that. That's probably drastic. I wouldn't say that it's remote. It's like a very kind of rural-ish area. So, the nearest city that has anything to do for people my age is about an hour away. So it kind of sucks. So a lot of my socialization is through Discord. And, my core friends that I hang out with on a Discord channel. And I do talk to people a little bit in other Discords. And I'm trying to do that a little bit more just as a way to socialize. And I'm trying to find more things in my area that I can engage in to socialize more. But I still feel very lonely. Often. Because, we need that. As human beings, we're very social creatures. We need that physical interaction. We need that physical presence. We need to be there with other human beings. Because being online is not quite the same. It fills that social bar, but it fills it at a very slow or not as extreme as physically being there with somebody. You know what I mean? So yeah, feel free to tell me what your thoughts are on that in the comments. But yeah, I don't know. It just feels weird to me when you think about that. It's crazy that we're so connected, but still so lonely. And I wonder how much that would change as technology grows. Is VR going to reach a point where it fills that need that we have as much as physically being there? I don't think anything will trump that, but maybe it will give you more of that fulfillment than, talking over voice would. Especially if, you get things that make it feel like you can feel someone touching your skin. I don't know. Maybe. Maybe not. Who knows? I guess, I'm thinking of some sort of, super advanced VR chat kind of thing. You know what I mean? But I hope things are going well for you. And if they're not, well, I always think about whenever I have bad times, what Bob Ross said, is that you gotta have the bad times so you know when the good times are coming. He said that around the time that his wife passed, where he was waiting on the good times to come for him. I think our brains are so hardwired to focus on the negative. And that sucks, Our brains will focus on negative things that happen to us more than positive things. Positive things are very fleeting, it seems like. Maybe it's the whole dopamine hit that we get from it, and then our brain's like, okay, great, tosses it aside. Where's my next dopamine hit, Whereas negative things feel like a gut punch. You remember a gut punch, because when you get hit in the gut, it hurts. You feel it. It's memorable because it's pain. It's a huge negative impact, you know what I mean? I don't know, man. Most people remember almost every injury they've ever gotten. At least serious ones. I even remember some minor ones, like when I was a little kid, and I don't know what you would call it, because it wasn't necessarily a daycare, but it was like an after-school kind of thing. Because there would be a bus that would take you there after school that I would have to ride. And it was not like a rec center, but just a place. I don't know what it's called. I really should ask my parents. But anyways, it was just basically another place that would watch your kids for those couple extra hours after school. Because it wasn't like it. Like I said, it wasn't a daycare. I wasn't that young. I was like at least 8, 9, 10, maybe. I don't know. Um, and they would like put on movies, and you would do stuff inside and whatever. Um, but a lot of time was spent outside on like the playground and stuff. But I remember like around Halloween time, me and these kids were just playing, and kid pushed me, slammed my head against the playground, like those big playground pipes that the big playground pipes that what's the word I'm looking for right now? I don't know. That is just part of the structure of it. I'm thinking of like the big green ones. But yeah, they pushed me into it, slammed my head into it. It hurt, like any other moment of slamming your head against something. And then I was like, okay, ow, that really hurts, but I feel okay. So we go back to playing. And then, I wasn't thinking anything of it. And then my friend was like, oh, you're bleeding. And I'm like, what? Like, I didn't think I hit my head that hard, but I put my hand up there, touch it, and then I look at my hand, covered in blood. And the minute I saw the blood, I freaked out. And I went running, screaming to the nurse's office about it. Luckily, at that exact moment, my older brother showed up to pick me up and take me home. So, yeah, I remember that. I also remember a time I got a fishing lure stuck in my head. Not a very extravagant story, I'm going to tell you. All I did was, I was an idiot. I casted over instead of horizontally. So vertically versus horizontally. And the fishing lure went flying and hit me in the back of the head. And we're not talking about a hook fishing lure, where you just put the worm at the back on it and then call it a day. No. I'm talking about a full-fledged lure that has the fish on it with 3 hooks on one end and 3 hooks on the other. The triangular hooks. It's laying right in the back of my head. Hooks on both ends, stuck in my head. Had to go to the hospital, sitting in the emergency room with a fishing lure in my head, people staring at me. And it, of course, was removed. Nothing extreme, just numbed it. The janitor had to get his pliers, and they just cut it and just pulled it right out. I've been good ever since. Thankfully, I've never gone through any experiences where I've broken any limbs, or anything like that. So I'm very, very thankful for never having gone through that level of pain. Because that would suck. That would really suck. And I'm also going to try to stay towards more positive topics. But if I do approach anything negative, I want to approach it from a positive standpoint. Because I think being positive around bedtime is very important. You want to come to a positive conclusion as you fall asleep. You know what I get? You get what I'm saying? So, yeah, I think you feel better. You sleep better. You sleep with less worry. If you worry, then it's harder to fall asleep, Anyways, let's see how long we've been running at this point. Oh, wow. We're approaching almost 30 minutes for this. So I think that's probably a good stopping point to see how this does. I'll probably come up with some more to upload for a little while, maybe a month. And, even if there's like 100 views, or, you know, at least some people consistently listening to it and this is helpful to you, then cool. Let me know. If you want it to be longer, like you're like, hey, I haven't fallen asleep yet, and please, by all means, fall asleep, because that's kind of the point. I just want to be that presence that hangs out with you until you fall asleep. Um, so yeah, let me know if this sort of thing does help. Um, and see, there I go saying but I'm becoming aware of it, and that's what's important. I'm becoming aware of it, and I will soon stop doing it. So join me on this journey of stop saying um, but really, please do let me know what you think. If you like it longer, shorter, or hey, topics like this kind of made my brain think too much, whatever. Voice is getting too dry again. Or you don't like the background noise, or you whatever. I don't care. I'm willing to hear whatever anybody has to say. Anyways, I hope that you rest well, and that you have pleasant dreams of, I don't know, sunshines, rainbows, and puppy dogs. Why am I thinking of the Powerpuff Girls now? Well, good night, my friend, and rest easy.